First up, we go to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're inside the Hamilton County Courthouse, and that's Donald Trivett. He just entered the building, but he has no court business to attend to. So why is he there? He wants access to an office so he can take a shower. When told he doesn't have an office there, Trivett doesn't take the news well. Three deputies try to restrain Trivett, who sends one of them to the floor. Finally, he's taken down, and deputies appear to have things under control. But look closely. You can see Trivett reaching for the deputy's holster. If he grabs the gun, this scuffle could turn deadly. But there, a quick-thinking bailiff releases the magazine from the weapon. Even against three men, Trivett continues to fight. By now, a dozen officers have arrived on the scene. As a precaution to prevent officers from being bitten, a hood is placed over Trivett's head, and he's taken away in handcuffs. Trivett's charged with aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, and resisting arrest. No officers were seriously injured during the incident. We go to the Veterans Memorial Courthouse in Lansing, Michigan, for the trial of 35-year-old Joshua Harding, who's been charged with 2 counts of sexual assault. There's Harding. 2 prosecutors represent the state, including Jonathan Roth, who, prior to sentencing, asked the court to consider a sentence on the higher end of the guidelines. At the far end of the table is Detective Brian Kanan, the lead investigator in the case against Harding. The jury's reached a decision in one of the cases and is about to read its verdict. In under 8 seconds, so much has happened. Let's look at it again. If you look a little closer, you can see Harding remove something from inside his sleeve. Turns out Harding is holding a metal shank. Harding storms the prosecutor's table, headed straight for Assistant DA Roth. If not for the quick reflexes of Detective Kanan, Roth could have sustained serious injuries. 2 court deputies immediately take action to help bring Harding, who stands 6'6" and weighs 280, to the ground. Watch as Roth removes his glasses to take a step towards the scrum. A spectator points something out to Roth. It's the shank. Meanwhile, Kanan and the 2 bailiffs are still wrestling with Harding. It took about 30 seconds to eventually cuff and remove the defendant from the courtroom. This brazen attack brought Harding an additional charge of assault with intent to murder, to which he pled guilty. As for the original charges, Harding was found guilty of second-degree criminal sexual conduct and is now serving a combined sentence of 44 years at a state prison. The earliest he could be released is the year 2064. Authorities are unsure how Harding got the weapon into the courthouse. Because Harding was in police custody during the trial, he did not have to pass through a metal detector upon entering the courthouse. He also was not required to wear handcuffs. We head to Orangeburg, South Carolina for a sentencing hearing. 22-year-old Lindy Lamont Jones has pled guilty to murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. 3 years earlier, Jones shot and killed 18-year-old Willie Fields Jr., a friend of his younger brother, Jalen. Willie had just arrived at the Jones home when Lindy Jones shot him 4 times as he sat in his car. Then Jones and his younger brother dumped the body in a nearby wooded area. When Willie didn't come home that night, his mother used a tracking app to locate his phone. It pinged at the Jones residence, and then again at the street where Willie's car was found. The next morning, police discovered Willie's body in the wooded area, just 700 feet from the Jones home. Lindy Jones was arrested and charged with murder. His brother, Jalen, a minor at the time of the shooting, was charged with being an accessory after the fact. At first, Lindy Jones claimed he shot Willie because he was trespassing. Then he said it was because Willie was reaching for something, but eventually he accepted responsibility and pled guilty to all charges. Today, Lindy Jones appears for sentencing before Judge Roger Young. But first, Willie's mother, Angela Fields, prepares to deliver a victim impact statement to the court. By her side is Willie Fields Sr., her husband, and the victim's father.
Your Honor, I just want to let you know just what they took from me. They took away my only child.
As she speaks, with Jones standing just a few feet away, it apparently becomes too much for Willie Sr. to take.
It's been so hard.
Willie Sr. charges past a deputy toward the defendant. The victim's father lands a few punches before deputies rush over to pull him away. Jones lunges at Willie Sr., but he's quickly diverted by the deputies. Both Willie Sr. and Jones are removed from the courtroom, and orders eventually restored. As for Lindy Jones, he was eventually sentenced to 35 years in a state prison. His brother Jalen pled guilty to being an accessory after the fact and was sentenced to 6 years in a youth offender facility. We head now to a sentencing hearing in Ocala, Florida. A jury has found Travis Davis, Brandon Banks, Kelvin Grimmage, and Keela Richardson guilty of killing Courtney London during a robbery home invasion 2 years earlier. As an added precaution today, extra officers are on hand for the sentencing.
Any legal reason we shouldn't proceed with sentencing today?
As the men wait to learn their fate,
I've indicated that I would like to do is to have the gentleman hang on, Mr. Davis.
Suddenly, fists are flying. It appears a court officer attempts to handcuff Travis Davis, but Davis refuses to cooperate. Another court officer quickly jumps in to assist.
Hang on, Mr. Davis.
Meanwhile, a third court officer attempts to handcuff Grimmage, but that doesn't go any better, and total chaos ensues. Richardson's already been cuffed and is ushered away from the melee. Davis's lawyer, Daniel Hernandez, isn't so lucky. With the situation seemingly out of control, another court officer steps in with a taser. Reportedly, all three men were tased, including Brandon Banks, who doesn't appear to join the free-for-all. One of the court officers appears to instruct everyone to clear the courtroom. After the court officers regain control, Davis and Grimmage share some sentimental parting words.
Hey, mud, like I said, sit.
All 4 defendants were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. We head to Louisville, Kentucky for a hearing. 31-year-old Paul Wade has been charged with 2 counts of murder and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. 3 weeks earlier, 25-year-old Alexis McCrary and 26-year-old Edward Smith, who lived together, were both shot and killed on the same afternoon, a short distance away from each other. When police reviewed surveillance footage of the crime scenes, they spotted who they believe is Wade pulling the trigger. One of Wade's associates, 32-year-old Maurice Gibson, told police he gave Wade a ride home after the shootings, so he was charged with being complicit to murder. Wade, who was already on probation for drugs and firearm possession, was charged with both murders. Police had no motive for the shootings. Today, Wade appears before Judge Ann Haney for an arraignment. Shadowing the judge is an 8th grade student who's interested in someday becoming a judge. Seated in the gallery are family members of the 2 victims, who immediately got off on the wrong foot with the courtroom deputy.
Quiet in court.
Quiet.
Okay, hold on. One more round first, and I will lock you in.
Ma'am, you're gonna have to leave the courtroom. You have to.
She was saying it was a misunderstanding, I promise.
Okay, I believe you.
We all family.
No talking in the courtroom.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. Go ahead.
Things appear to be back under control. But since Wade's attorney isn't in court today, Judge Haney reschedules the hearing for a later date. But as Wade is removed from the courtroom, he mutters an expletive toward the family members in the gallery. Several family members hop over the railing to go after Wade. And chaos ensues. Wade escapes through an open door behind the bench, which leads to a hallway and the judge's chambers, while the judge and the terrified 8th grader can only watch. Deputies pursue the family members who chased Wade down the hallway, while Judge Haney hits the panic button, alerting security. More deputies arrive to help and head for the hallway skirmish, while other family members try to remain calm. Judge Haney steps down from the bench to help keep the peace.
The best thing I can do is just stay calm. Okay, just stay calm.
The melee goes on for 20 minutes as deputies use pepper spray in an attempt to defuse the situation. 4 people from the gallery were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing government operations, both misdemeanors. Wade was unhurt. His case is pending and he has yet to enter a plea. As for Maurice Gibson, he's pled not guilty and his case is also pending. We take you inside the Cock County Courthouse in Newport, Tennessee for a hearing. 33-year-old Michael Smith's been charged with possession of methamphetamine. He was also picked up on a fugitive from justice warrant out of North Carolina, where he has pending charges for felony possession of meth, violation of a protection order, 2 counts of fleeing by motor vehicle, and several driving violations. 4 days earlier, North Carolina police contacted the Cock County Sheriff's Office and asked them to pick up Smith, who they believed was staying at a campsite nearby. Police located Smith, who was allegedly carrying a small amount of meth, and after a brief struggle, was taken into custody. If found guilty on both the Tennessee and North Carolina charges, he could be facing up to 12 years in prison. Today, Smith is in court along with 6 other defendants, waiting their turn to see the judge. That's Smith, third from the right, dressed in a red and white jail uniform, fully shackled. He's heading toward a table near the window to grab a tissue, which, according to witnesses, he's already done several times. But this time, he's got other plans. Smith casually walks to the window, opens it, and then, without warning, jumps out, falling 20 feet to the ground. He lands on his back just inches from 3 air conditioner units. Inside, a witness reacts in disbelief, while court security hustles out of the room to go after Smith. Somehow, Smith gets on his feet and walks away. But he won't get far. A court deputy is right on his tail. Smith was quickly apprehended and taken to a medical center for treatment. He suffered only minor injuries. Smith later pled guilty to possession, was fined $750, and released to unsupervised probation. His cases in North Carolina are pending. Next, we take you inside the Washington County Courthouse in Hillsboro, Oregon, for a probation hearing. 34-year-old Jaime Regalado Pena has pled guilty to harassment and 4th-degree attempted assault. 2 years earlier, Regalado Pena got into a domestic dispute and was arrested. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 2 years probation. He was also required to remain sober and attend domestic violence classes. But when, according to police, he stopped returning calls to his probation officer and attending his classes, he was ordered to report back to court. Today, he appears before Judge Ricardo Menchaca. But when, according to the sheriff's office, the judge suspects that Regalado Pena is intoxicated, he orders the defendant be taken into custody. There's a deputy arriving at a side door of the 3rd floor courtroom. That's when Regalado Pena makes a break for it. When he arrives on the main floor, Regalado Pena considers this exit. But when he sees an officer headed his way, he tries a different option. He makes it to the street, but court deputies, with help from a police detective who happened to be in the area, take the defendant into custody just outside the courthouse. Regalado Pena was not charged for his failed escape, but he remains in custody for his probation violation. That case is pending. We take you inside Highland County Common Pleas Court in Hillsboro, Ohio, for a sentencing. 34-year-old Nicholas Tillard has pled guilty to endangering a child and 1 count of misdemeanor domestic violence. 5 months earlier, according to court records, Tillard began choking his wife until she passed out, causing her to drop their 2-year-old son. When she regained consciousness, prosecutors say Tillard slammed her head into a doorway, smashed a television, and took a cell phone away from their older son who was trying to call 911. Tillard's wife escaped major injury and has since recovered. Tillard fled the scene on foot and managed to elude authorities for a few weeks. He was eventually arrested and released on $10,000 bond. Today, Tillard appears with his attorney to hear his sentence. But as the judge begins speaking, it appears Tillard is experiencing some type of physical discomfort. He slowly gets up, and then while still holding onto his jacket, Tillard comes flying around a railing, with at least 2 bailiffs in hot pursuit. Tillard makes it through a doorway, cleanly. But this bailiff, who Tillard ran into, is not so lucky. He smashed his glasses in the fall, but was not seriously hurt. Tillard then bolts down a flight of stairs and runs out the front door. The bailiffs are not able to catch up to him. His escape, however, would be short-lived. 2 hours later, police picked him up hiding in a house nearby. The next day, he returned to the same courtroom, this time in cuffs and dressed in his jail uniform. The judge sentenced Tillard to 12 months in prison for the child endangerment charge. For the domestic violence charge, he's sentenced to 6 months in the county jail, sentences to run concurrently. Tillard was not charged for his escape. Next, we head to Conway, South Carolina for a sentencing hearing. 28-year-old Stephon Johnson has pled guilty to manslaughter. 2 years earlier, Johnson shot and killed 20-year-old Shaquan Cox near a community park. Police say the two men did not know each other and no motive was released in the shooting. Today, after being sentenced to 12 years in prison, bailiffs begin escorting Johnson from the courtroom when suddenly, the man moving towards Johnson is 31-year-old Terrence Cox, the victim's brother. And this person nearly grabs hold of Cox before he steps over a gallery railing and heads straight for Johnson. But he's cut off as this quick-thinking deputy puts Cox in a bear hug and keeps him from reaching the defendant, who's now just inches away. As bailiffs remove Johnson from the scene, 3 officers struggle to subdue Cox. Then this unidentified woman comes flying in to jump on the pile. She briefly gets tangled up with another spectator, but eventually leaves the courtroom and was not charged. Cox was held in contempt of court and sentenced to 3 days in jail. As for Johnson, he was sentenced to 12 years in a state prison plus 5 years probation. He'll have no chance at parole.